One day, you'll meet the person you could have become, and that meeting will either break you or make you proud. That line kept echoing in my head. I didn't even remember where I first heard it. Maybe from a podcast. Maybe from a late-night video while I was scrolling through my phone, searching for meaning in the endless noise of motivational clips. But somehow, those words hit differently that night. I was 26. Not old, not young, just somewhere in the middle. That strange age where you're supposed to have things figured out, but you don't. Where your friends are getting promoted, getting married, moving abroad, while you're still trying to understand where your own road even begins. I had dreams once. Big ones. I wanted to start my own design studio, travel the world, and create work that mattered. But over time, those dreams turned into distant memories, buried under routine, under fear, under the comforting blanket of maybe later. Most days looked the same. I would wake up late, scroll for an hour, convince myself that breakfast would give me energy, then spend the rest of the day getting ready to start. But somehow, I never started. I always found something to delay the doing. A new video to research. A new playlist to set the mood. A new excuse to make the day feel justifiable. Until one night, I opened an old folder on my computer labeled Dream Projects. Inside were designs I had made years ago, mock-ups, sketches, logo drafts. I clicked one at random. It was a half-finished poster titled Future Self. The tagline read, "He's waiting for you." I stared at it for a long time. It felt like a message from another version of me, the version who believed I could be more. And suddenly, something inside me cracked. I imagined meeting that version of myself, the one who never gave up, who stayed disciplined, who fought through doubt and kept building. What would that meeting be like? Would he smile? Or would he look away, disappointed? That night I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, thinking about all the times I had chosen comfort over growth. I remembered every "I'll start tomorrow." Every "I'm not ready yet." Every moment I knew exactly what I needed to do but didn't. And in that darkness, I heard a quiet voice. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It sounded like a whisper buried deep in my chest. "Please, don't quit now." It startled me. The voice wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from within. My future self was speaking, not with anger, but with quiet desperation. "Please, don't waste what we could become." I sat up. The room was silent except for the hum of the ceiling fan. But my heart was racing. I grabbed my phone and opened the Notes app. I typed, "My future self is begging me for it." I didn't know what it was exactly. Maybe effort. Maybe consistency. Maybe courage. Maybe all of them. The next morning, I decided to make a small change. I didn't declare a big resolution or announce a life overhaul on social media. I just set a simple rule for myself: 1 hour of real work before touching my phone. The first day felt awkward. I sat at my desk, staring at the blank screen, my fingers hesitating on the keyboard. I felt the pull of distraction like a magnet. But I stayed. The second day, it was still hard. The third day, a little easier. By the end of the week, I had finished a small design piece. Nothing fancy, but it was something. For the first time in a long time, I felt a flicker of pride. A quiet kind of pride. The kind that doesn't come from showing off, but from knowing you did something you said you would do. Every time I made one small change, I imagined that future version of myself again. Not the one who was disappointed, but the one who was proud. The version who smiled and said, "You did it! You actually did it!" That image pushed me forward. I stopped waiting to feel ready. I realized ready was a lie. There would always be fear. Always be doubt. But I didn't have to listen. I just had to start. Slowly, I stopped thinking in terms of goals and started thinking in terms of systems. Instead of saying, I want to write a book, I said, I will write 200 words a day. Instead of I want to get fit, I said, I will move for 10 minutes every morning. Instead of I want to change my life, I said I will keep one promise to myself today. That small shift changed everything. But old habits are stubborn. Some days I slipped. I would lose hours to scrolling again, and guilt would creep back in. That voice from my future self would return, not to scold me, but to remind me, it's okay. Just come back. I realized something important then. My future self wasn't angry at me. He was waiting. Patiently. Because the truth is, the future version of me already exists. He is shaped by what I do today. Every decision, every small action, is a vote for the kind of person I will become. And I started voting differently. I began waking up earlier. Not because I suddenly loved mornings, but because I hated regret more. I started learning new tools for design, taking free courses online. Every time I wanted to quit, I pictured my future self sitting in a cafe, working on his dream projects, feeling free. And I'd whisper, do it for him. Months passed. Progress was slow, but steady. My skills improved. I started getting small freelance jobs, first one, then two, then more. It wasn't a breakthrough. It was a build-up. But something else changed too. My inner dialogue began to shift. I stopped saying I'm not ready and started saying I'm learning. I stopped comparing my journey to others and began focusing on the next small step. I realized the gap between who I was and who I wanted to be wasn't measured in time. It was measured in effort. And each day I tried, the distance shrank. One evening, after finishing a project, I went for a walk. The sunset painted the sky orange and gold, the streets humming softly with life. I found myself smiling for no reason. I wasn't rich. I wasn't famous. But I felt alive. And in that quiet moment, I imagined meeting my future self again. This time, he looked calm and confident. He nodded at me, not with pride or pity, but with gratitude. You didn't give up on me, he said. I smiled. Not this time. But life isn't a straight line. There were days when everything fell apart again. A client ghosted me. A big pitch failed. My motivation dropped. The old fears returned, whispering that maybe I wasn't good enough after all. I almost gave in. Until I remembered that line again, one day, you'll meet the person you could have become. And I realized something powerful. The real pain isn't failing. It's meeting the version of yourself that you could have been, and knowing you didn't even try. So I kept going, even on the hardest days. Especially when it felt pointless. Because that's what real growth means. It's doing something even when you don't feel like it. It's doing the small and boring things that no one claps for. It's keeping your promise to your future self, one day at a time. As the years went by, my world slowly transformed. The small projects grew into bigger ones, and my confidence became calm and steady. I learned how to fail without taking it personally. I learned how to start over, again and again. And through it all, I kept talking to my future self. Sometimes out loud, sometimes in my journal, sometimes just in thought. I'm doing my best, I would whisper. And the voice would answer. I know. Keep going. Then one afternoon, I received an email that changed everything. A global brand had seen my work online and wanted to collaborate. They said they loved my style, my storytelling, my perspective. I read the email 3 times, unable to believe it. Years of small, invisible effort had finally connected to something real. I accepted, of course. The project turned out to be a success. But more than that, it gave me a new kind of peace, a deep, quiet confidence that I was on the right path. Later that night, sitting alone in my studio, I looked at my reflection on the dark computer screen. And I smiled. Because in that reflection, I could almost see the person I had imagined all those years ago, the one who had been waiting. And now, we were finally the same person. I cried a little. Because I remembered the version of me who thought he'd never finish anything. Who thought motivation would magically appear one day. Who was scared of starting. And I wished I could go back and tell him, you don't need to do it all at once. You just need to start. Your future self is begging you for it. Now, I live with that idea in mind every day. Will today's actions help the person I want to be? Will this choice bring me closer or further? It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about persistence. About answering the call from your future self, the one who already knows what you're capable of. That voice isn't there to pressure you. It's there to remind you that your potential is real, that your time matters, and that the person you're becoming is worth the effort. Your future self is begging you for it. Begging you to stop wasting hours on things that don't move you forward. Begging you to forgive yourself and start again, no matter how many times you've failed. Begging you to take care of your health, your mind, your dreams. Begging you to show up, even when you're tired, even when it's hard. Because one day, you'll look back and realize that every small effort was worth it. If you're listening to this now, maybe this is your moment. Maybe you've been drifting, waiting for the perfect time, the perfect feeling, the perfect plan. But the truth is, there is no perfect time. There's only now. And your future self is watching, waiting, hoping you'll start today. Maybe it's one small step. Maybe it's reading one page, applying for that job, making that call, writing that first line, studying for one more hour. Whatever it is, it matters. Because the gap between where you are and where you could be will only close when you start walking. And no one else can walk it for you. So if you're like I was, stuck, tired, overwhelmed, doubting yourself, please hear this: your future self is not judging you. They're cheering for you. They're hoping you'll take that first step. They need you to try. Even just a little. It doesn't have to be big. But it has to begin. One paragraph. One healthy meal. One walk around the block. One promise to yourself that you actually keep. Because it's not about doing everything today. It's about doing something. Anything. That your future self will look back on and whisper, "Thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me." If you liked the story, kindly like, subscribe, comment, and share. Keep going, be kind to yourself, and see you again on Stories by the Window.